Hi guys, welcome back. It is History Week, but it's February and it's also Black History Month. And so we're going to read this little story about some famous African Americans in history so you can learn a little bit more about it. Harriet Tubman was an abolitionist. She wanted to abolish slavery. Harriet Tubman was born in 1820 and died in 1913. She escaped slavery in Maryland in 1849 and traveled north. She then helped hundreds of other slaves flee to the north to freedom via the Underground Railroad. Mrs. Tubman helped John Brown recruit soldiers for his raid on Harper's Ferry in 1859. She spied for the Union during the U.S. Civil War. Mrs. Tubman devoted her life to fighting slavery and working for the rights of women. Elijah McCoy was an inventor. He was born in 1843 or 1844 and died in 1929. He was a mechanical engineer and an inventor. McCoy's high-quality industrial inventions, especially his steam engine lubricator, were the basis for the expression "the real McCoy," meaning a real, authentic, high-quality thing. He was born in Canada to former slaves who had fled the U.S. McCoy had a total of 57 patents. He was known all over the world for his inventions. Booker T. Washington. He was an educator. Booker Taliaferro Washington, April 15th, they think was his birthday in 1856, and he died in November 15th, 1915. Sometimes when people were born slaves, they didn't keep very good records, and so we don't always know for sure when somebody's birthday was. He was an orator, a speaker, civil rights activist, professor, writer, and poet. He was born a slave in Virginia, but was freed in 1865. Washington dedicated his life to education as a means of obtaining equality. He founded the Tuskegee Normal and Industrial Institute in Tuskegee, Alabama, and the National Negro Business League. George Washington Carver was a scientist. George Washington Carver, they think, was born in 1865 and died in 1943. He was a scientist, an educator, a former slave. Carver developed hundreds of products from peanuts, sweet potatoes, pecans, and soybeans. His discoveries greatly improved the farm output and the health of southern farmers. Before this, the only main crop in the South was cotton. Matthew Alexander Henson was an explorer. Matthew Henson was born in August 8, 1866, and died March 9, 1955, was an explorer and one of the first people to visit the North Pole in 1909. Henson's parents died when he was young. He worked as a ship's cabin boy when he was 12 years old. Henson went on 8 expeditions with the explorer Robert Peary. Madam C.J. Walker was a businesswoman. Madam C.J. Walker was born December 23, 1867, and died May 25, 1919. Was an inventor and a self-made millionaire. She developed many beauty and hair care products that were extremely popular. Madam Walker started her cosmetic business in 1905. Her first product was a scalp treatment that used petroleum and a hot comb. Sarah later invented a system for straightening hair. She added Madam to her name to begin selling her products door to door. Dr. Charles R. Drew, doctor. He was born in 1904, died in 1950. He was a doctor and a surgeon who came up with the idea of a blood bank, a system for the preservation of blood plasma. His ideas revolutionized the medical profession and have saved many lives. Drew's work was the model for the Red Cross system of blood banks. He became the first director. Dr. Drew's work have saved thousands of lives. Jesse Owens was an athlete. Jesse Owens was born in September 12, 1913, and died March 31, 1980. Was one of the world's greatest track and field athletes. At the 1936 Berlin Olympic Games, Jesse Owens won 4 gold medals in the 100 meter, the 200 meter, the 400 meter, and the long jump. He set 2 Olympic records and tied another. This humiliated Hitler and was an affront to his racial theories. Hitler had assumed that Aryans, the German race, would easily win. Thurgood Marshall was a Supreme Court justice. Thurgood Marshall was born July 12, 1908 and died in July 24, 1993. He was the first African American justice on the U.S. Supreme Court. Marshall was on a team of lawyers in the historic Supreme Court trial concerning the school desegregation, Brown versus the Board of Education, in 1954. As a result of the trial, the separate but equal doctrine in public education was overthrown. Marshall served on the High Court from 1967 until 1991, fighting for civil rights. Shirley Chisholm was a congresswoman. Shirley Chisholm was born November 30th, 1924, and died January 1st, 2005. Was the first African American woman who served in the U.S. Congress. Shirley Anita St. Hill was born in Brooklyn, New York. After being a teacher and serving as a New York Congresswoman, Chisholm was elected to the House of Representatives. She served as a Democrat in Congress for 7 terms from 1969 to 1983. During her long career, Chisholm fought for the rights of women and minorities. And Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He was a civil rights leader. Martin Luther King Jr. was born January 15, 1929, and died April 4, 1968. Was a great leader who worked for the racial equality in the United States. Dr. King participated in the Montgomery, Alabama bus boycott and many other peaceful demonstrations against the unfair treatment of African Americans. He won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1964. Dr. King was assassinated in 1968 in Memphis, Tennessee. I hope you guys enjoyed this and learned a few things. Thanks, guys.